Hi, and welcome to a quick playback session on the CloudPak for MultiCloud Management and the Service Composition library. Some quick enhancements that are new to the 2.0 version of the CloudPak for MultiCloud Management. So first I'm going to make you aware of some changes. One of the biggest ones is the ability to create versions of a service, and that's very easily done. I can add a version and I can make it based off of a current version. And this is very easily done just by giving it a new version number, and then you can choose which version you want to base it off of, and then click Add. So now that I've created a new version of an existing template, let me walk you through exactly what it has inside of it. So quickly on the overview page, obviously a bunch of details that will be displayed to the user and their version information, some feature-specific data. These are values that are set as tags on the resources that are deployed in Amazon. And so we've added a few things like the team and the frequency, which are used in our environment to find old systems and help us understand when they need to be deleted. Over to the exciting part. So onto the composition page. What is new is we've added even more Terraform templates out of the box. You'll see there's quite a large number now available. And from here you can use the search mechanism to kind of find what you're looking for, and it kind of filters things down for you and allows you to kind of see what is available very quickly and easily. Also available, besides Terraform templates, are Helm charts. So you can use Helm charts that are available in the CloudPak MultiCloud Management's Helm repository, and you can drag and drop these onto the interface. And of course there's the Ansible templates, and so anything that is available in your Ansible Tower instance is now also available here, and again with drag and drop. So on this service that I've already created, I've got a number of items here, and so let me just walk you through them. So I've drag and dropped a REST hook here. It's going to create basically a request for approval into the information, or sort of the infrastructure management portal. And then I'm going to send a Slack notification to a Slack channel and tell everybody that it needs to be approved. So that way we've got a notification of something. And then it's going to do a loop waiting on that approval. It's then going to, based on if that is rejected, that will just completely fail. This decision here is based on the user's selection of whether they want AWS or IBM Cloud. And if it's AWS, it's going to deploy the VM, and then it's going to add that VM to Ansible as an inventory object, and it's going to add the credentials for it to Ansible as well. And that's so that it can then run this LAMP stack install. What I've also done is added the ability to, so you can create new actions here, but I've already created a new action. These are secondary flows that can be executed after the system has been deployed. So I've created a new one here, which is just another Ansible script. It allows me to do an update of the of the LAMP stack deployment. So for example, if say there's a new version of LAMP out there, or maybe some security fixes, I can have that available in this playbook and then execute it from the library, and my system will be updated. Just a quick note, one of the things to be aware of when you're adding credentials or other things to your service and you want them hidden, meaning when you're saving your service to GitHub, make sure that you hide your credential information. Yes, it's invisible, which means it doesn't get displayed to the customer, but it's also protected as a password. And so in the source code it is actually, if you scroll right to the bottom here, you'll see that webhook one which I added last. It's actually hashed out, so you can't actually see that webhook. I recently had that actually reject my Slack admin. Somehow they have a process running and found that and rejected my URL. So those are the kind of things that you want to watch for when you're checking stuff into Git. So any access keys or anything else that you might be setting in templates, you want to make sure you're using the password setting. Okay, so now that I have that all organized and explained, I'm going to do a test deployment. When I'm finished developing this, I would press the publish feature, and that will publish it into the catalog, which shows the service library. And so this is kind of a view that is used by the developer view, which is that kind of that composer view. This is what the service will look like if you click on the tile in the service library view. And so from here, you can choose a plan. So I'm going to deploy Amazon, and I'm going to choose a namespace, which is basically setting the visibility of the service to who can see it and where what users and teams can view it. I'm going to give it a quick name. And I'm going to choose an environment that this is in. So this is just a tag that's on the system. This gets set and actually shows up on our overview page in the CloudPak MultiCloud Management. So I'm going to say this is a test type environment. In the overview page, we kind of group things by different environment types by default. Obviously, there's other tags you can add if you want to organize. Retirement review. So in our environment, we have a tag that we set, and if it's set to weekly, every Friday those systems get cleaned up. And here I'm going to choose my cloud connection that I want to use. So here's the suffix. So it's going to create a credential and an inventory in Ansible, and those have to be unique. I coded my template such that it's actually the service name appended with this. So if I'm reusing a service name, I may need to change that. In this case, I do not. The username that I want created on the VM, and the instance spec. So I've turned what would be T2 small and T2 micro on Amazon into kind of a more descriptive text field that the user can then more easily choose what they want. At this point, I'm going to deploy the 2 GB so I can show perhaps a redistribution. This is the SSH key name in AWS, and it does have to be unique, so I'm just going to add a few characters there. I could have coded it to be unique in my service itself, so the user didn't have to worry about it. So now that that's deployed, or deploying, what just happened, I just heard my Slack beep, and so let me find that message. Okay, so over here on my proper channel, you should see I just got a request for approval. I'm going to click on that, and it does take a second to load the first time, so I have it already loaded up here. And I'm going to click refresh, and you'll see that yes, it's pending. So I'm going to click on that new service request, and I have the option here to either approve it or reject it. So I'm going to approve. And I'll click submit. It is possible to create more complex service flows, meaning there could be more than one approver. They could have a process flow in there as well. But in this case, I just made a very simple one that just goes to a single person. And so that's complete. This page is just finally loaded. And so back now onto the service. So if I click on the service, you can see that it's still deploying. It's actually still polling. It does take a few minutes. It's every 30 seconds. Oh, it just finished. Just finished polling, I believe. Let me just see. Oh no, it's still polling. Sorry. And so you'll see every 10 seconds or so it checks, and so in about 10 seconds or so it will check again, and it will continue. When it continues, it'll deploy the VM. So you can see now it's deploying the VM, and that will take a few minutes on AWS. So while we're looking at that, let me just go to an already deployed instance and show you a quick couple of options that are available. All right, so for example, I deployed this a few minutes ago, and if I go to this URL that's here, that's going to bring me right to yes. In fact, LampStack is enabled and running on that system, so that's good. And so what I want to do now is say, oh, I've been told by admin there's a new security patch. I need to run my custom action. So from the menu at the top here, I can click custom actions, and any of those custom actions that I coded in my service flow are now available. I can click next. And now you can see I have a namespace predefined, and I'm going to give this a name. And I can run this over and over again, obviously giving it a slightly different name every time just to keep myself clear on what I'm doing. It is timestamped though, so that's fine. So this is actually executing that Ansible script now on that particular system. In the script itself, there's a 30-second delay, so it will take some time to actually do the update, 30 seconds or well, maybe 40 seconds or so. So let's go back now to the main instances and see if we finished deploying the first one. It should be done soon. Taking a quick look at the log file. Okay, so it's just running the final lamp stack. And you can see that there, it's actually just running the last Ansible script on the system right now. So this is kind of a nice feature, so you can see each of those activities that we were looking at on the composer view has separate logs for each, and so you can actually see the detailed data for each of them. And what's happening. So that's always very interesting to see what's actually happening on the system and make sure you know what's going on. So that's kind of helpful. So it's just installing the lamp stack now, starting the SQL service. So in fact, if we go to that IP address, we'll likely see it up and healthy at this point. Doesn't necessarily need the database. Yeah, so there we go. So LAMP is up and running. And I just want to wait for this to complete so that I can show you what the edit will look like. There we go. Now it's up and active. And so I could do a custom action again, but what I'm going to do instead this time is just show you a quick edit of the feature. And so by editing this system, I'm going to be prompted with all the variables that I was shown earlier in the session as I deployed it. And I can make changes to certain ones. As a service developer, I can choose which ones are allowed to be changed. And one of the ones that I'm going to change here is I'm going to right size this VM down to a single gig of RAM instead of 2. And I'm going to click Next. What's going to happen now is it's going to run a the step that actually required that variable was actually the Terraform template. So what it's going to do is it's going to run a Terraform plan against actually each of the steps and taking into account the plan variables that have changed. And it'll come back and tell me at the, this will take a few seconds and come back and tell me what will actually change. It won't actually do the actions until I click Edit Instance. So this is quite powerful. Many teams will use this as part of their CI/CD framework. So they'll make a change to a template and push a plan. And then at the end of the plan, they'll be waiting on this particular string here. And they'll be watching to see if there's any destroys. Okay. In this case, there is destroys. And in fact, what they are is those Ansible scripts at the end of my flow. So creating the credentials, the inventory, and deploying the lamp stack. But what it's really going to do in those cases, it's not going to run a uninstall. It is actually just going to destroy that instance of the template resource. So it's actually not going to do a destroy, which is good. It's going to change two things and move from there. So, and I know this by going through the output here and reviewing it all. You can actually see there's little arrows when it's saying it's going to change something, and you can see kind of what's happening in the system. So with this, I'm going to click Edit Instance, and from there it's going to execute the action on the system. And so you'll see it's back in progress, and again you'll see a log file for that to actually start happening. It does, like I said, it kind of undoes things and then redoes them, so that's a part of the flow. When this is all done, you can see on EC2 the system is actually updated with the correct information. You can see the details of what's happened on the system, so there's always an audit, and you can see kind of it's cleaning up resources before it actually deploys them. You can see that it's actually rerunning the creation of the Terraform piece right now. So it's basically just updating the system. And so that's T2 small to T2 micro. And so you can see here it's doing a modify action. And so that will take a few minutes. If we go to Amazon and we search on, oh geez, what did I call it now? I've forgotten. I call it demo. You can see that it is pending, currently spinning up. It has already changed the type to T2 micro. So that's kind of an interesting thing there. And those tags that I mentioned before, you can see here as well. They're flowing through the system. That's what will get discovered by the infrastructure management side of the CloudPak as well. And that's how we get chargeback and reporting details through the whole system. And that kind of concludes the demo of the new features and functions available to you in the CloudPak for MultiCloud Management ServiceComposition feature.